Mogadishu, Somalia, October 3rd, 1993, 1542 hours. Week 4 of Operation Gothic Serpent, but today everything's going wrong. Delta Force and Rangers deployed to downtown Mogadishu to capture Somali warlord Mohammed Farah Aidid's lieutenants. Supposed to be a simple 30-minute operation, 15-20 hours. First Black Hawk, Super 6-1, hit by RPG fire and crashed into Mogadishu's crowded streets. 15-40 hours. Second Black Hawk, Super 6-4, shared the same fate. Now 99 American soldiers, Delta operators, Rangers, 160th SOAR pilots, trapped in the heart of the city, surrounded by thousands of armed Somalis. And there, at the center of that chaos, in the Joint Operations Center at Mogadishu Airport, facing 12 monitor screens, sits one man who represents their only hope. Staff Sergeant David Hawk Rodriguez, 28 years old, born in El Paso, Intelligence Analyst. Live drone feeds, operational maps, radio traffic coordination in front of him. Behind him, the lives of 99 American soldiers. First crisis, Crash Site 1, Super 6-1, crew alive but under enemy fire. David's first coordination, ground recovery convoy route planning, analyzing enemy positions real-time to establish safe corridors. Second crisis, Crash Site 2, pilot Michael Durant, captured, crew status unknown. 1630 hours. David coordinating 4 different ground units, analyzing 8 drone feeds simultaneously, trying to predict enemy movements. Left eye on binocular scope, right hand on radio controls, brain updating 3D city maps in real time. Hawk 6, enemy reinforcement northwest sector, 200 meters approaching your position, coordinating via radio. 1945 hours. 4 hours in, David hasn't taken a break. Switching to night vision, thermal imaging active, city plunged into complete darkness but every movement visible on monitors. Organizing Malaysian peacekeepers and Pakistani armor convoy, calculating extraction routes with Plan B, C, D alternatives. 23:15 hours. 7.5 hours. David hasn't left his position. Caffeine tablets, cold pizza, and mind focused on 99 soldiers' lives. All call signs. This is Hawk 6. I have visual on multiple hostiles, 300 meters south of Crash Site 1. Redirect Alpha Team through Building Complex Charlie. 06:30 hours. 15 hours passed. Through David's coordination, rescue convoy finally organized. Malaysian APCs, Pakistani tanks, and American ground forces combined operation. 18 hours later, thanks to David Rodriguez's real-time intelligence coordination, most of the 99 American soldiers returned safely to base. That man now sits quietly in Atlanta, at Lenox Square Mall, in the security control room, watching 30 cameras. Gray hair, reading glasses, thermos of coffee. Same shift for 8 years, same chair, same monitors. But this Saturday afternoon, at 14:15 hours, when 3 armed robbers entered Lenox Square's jewelry section and took 200 innocent people hostage, that cold analytical focus would return to David Rodriguez's eyes, and the security team was about to learn that their quiet camera operator was one of the coordination heroes of Black Hawk Down. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we continue with this incredible tale of hidden intelligence, heroism, and the analysts who save lives from behind screens, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from today? And if you believe these stories of unsung military heroes deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button. The Lenox Square Mall security office had been David Rodriguez's sanctuary for exactly 8 years, 4 months, and 11 days. Located on the second floor above the food court, the windowless room contains 16 monitors displaying feeds from over 200 security cameras throughout Atlanta's premier shopping destination. To the mall management and security team, David was the ideal employee, punctual, observant, thorough in his reports, and blessed with an almost supernatural ability to spot trouble before it escalated. He worked the day shift, 0700 to 1900, 5 days a week, and in 8 years had never called in sick or requested time off during the busy holiday seasons. What they didn't know was that David Rodriguez's ability to monitor multiple video feeds simultaneously, track movement patterns, and predict potential threats wasn't a natural talent. It was the result of specialized military training in intelligence analysis, honed during some of the most intense urban combat operations of the 1990s. That Saturday afternoon started like hundreds of others. The mall was busy with weekend shoppers, families with children, teenagers gathering at the GameStop, elderly couples walking for exercise. David's trained eye automatically cataloged the normal patterns, the flow of foot traffic, the positioning of security guards, the behavior of store employees. At 13:47 hours, David noticed something that would have been invisible to most security operators. 3 men had entered the mall separately over the past 20 minutes, each taking a different entrance, each dressed casually, but moving with a purpose that suggested coordination. 2 were wearing dark hoodies despite the warm October weather, and the third kept his right hand in his jacket pocket in a way that suggested he was carrying something. David's training kicked in automatically. He began tracking the 3 men across multiple camera feeds, noting their movements, their positioning, and most importantly, the fact that they were slowly converging on the jewelry section of Macy's department store. "Marcus," David called to his supervisor, Marcus Williams, who was reviewing incident reports at his desk. "I need you to look at something." Marcus approached David's workstation, where 6 monitors now displayed different angles of the 3 suspicious individuals. "See these 3 guys?" David said, pointing to each monitor in sequence. "They entered separately, but they're coordinating. Watch their movement pattern." Marcus studied the screens for a moment. "Could be coincidence." "Could be," David agreed. "But the guy in the red hoodie just made eye contact with the one in the blue jacket, and they're both heading for the same section. And this one," he indicated the third man, "has been checking his phone every 30 seconds for the past 5 minutes. Marcus had worked mall security for 15 years and had learned to trust David's instincts. "What do you think?" "I think we should alert store security in the jewelry section and have uniformed guards position themselves nearby. If I'm wrong, no harm done. If I'm right—" David didn't need to finish the sentence. At 14:15 hours, David's assessment proved accurate. The 3 men converged on K Jewelers, and within 30 seconds, the situation escalated from suspicious behavior to active threat. "All units, we have a robbery in progress at K Jewelers," Marcus announced over the security radio. 3 armed suspects, unknown number of hostages. David was already switching between camera feeds, his hands moving across the control panel with practiced efficiency. In the space of 60 seconds, he had visual confirmation of the situation from 8 different angles. "Marcus, I count approximately 40 customers and staff inside K Jewelers. All 3 suspects are armed. Handguns visible. They've ordered everyone to the back of the store." Marcus was on the phone with 911, but David was already thinking 3 steps ahead. His military training had taught him that the first few minutes of any crisis were critical, and that information superiority could mean the difference between successful resolution and tragedy. "David, the police want to know about exits, sightlines, and potential complications." David's response was immediate and precise. "K Jewelers has 3 entrances: main storefront facing the mall corridor, service entrance through the back stockroom, and an emergency exit that connects to the parking garage. The suspects have positioned themselves to watch the main entrance and the back area. No visual on the emergency exit from their position." Marcus relayed this information to the police dispatcher, then looked at David with growing amazement. "How do you know the store layout that well?" "I study the floor plans," David said simply, not taking his eyes off the monitors. "It's important to know the environment you're responsible for." What David didn't say was that studying building layouts, understanding sight lines, and memorizing exit routes had been drilled into him during years of military intelligence training. The same skills that had helped him coordinate the rescue of trapped soldiers in urban combat were now being applied to a shopping mall in Atlanta. over the next hour as Atlanta Police Department's SWAT team arrived and began setting up their command post. David found himself becoming an unofficial intelligence coordinator for the operation. His access to the mall's extensive camera network gave him capabilities that the police didn't have, and his ability to process multiple video feeds simultaneously made him invaluable. SWAT team leader wants to know if we can get eyes inside the store, Marcus told David. David was already working on it. Camera 7 has a partial view through the front window. Camera 12 can see part of the back area through the stockroom door. Let me see if I can adjust the angles. For the next 20 minutes, David provided real-time intelligence to the SWAT team. Positions of the hostages, movements of the suspects, identification of potential approach routes. His communications were crisp, precise, and filled with tactical terminology that surprised everyone listening. Detective Sarah Chen, the SWAT team's intelligence liaison, approached the security office to coordinate directly with David. "Sir, I have to ask, what's your background? You're providing intelligence analysis that's better than what we get from most of our trained personnel." David hesitated for a moment, his hands still moving across the camera controls. "Military," he said finally. "What kind of military?" "Intelligence analysis, urban operations." Detective Chen studied David more carefully. "Recent service?" "No, ma'am. Long time ago." "How long ago? And where?" David's answer was so quiet that Detective Chen almost didn't hear it. "Somalia, 1993. The detective's expression changed immediately. Anyone involved in military or law enforcement in the 1990s knew what Somalia 1993 meant. "You were in Mogadishu." David nodded, still focused on the monitors. "What unit?" "Joint Operations Center, Intelligence Support for Task Force Ranger." Detective Chen felt the pieces clicking into place. "You were part of the intelligence team for Operation Gothic Serpent, Black Hawk Down." David's hands paused on the controls for just a moment. "Yes, ma'am." "Jesus," Detective Chen said quietly. "You coordinated intelligence for the rescue operation." "I did my job," David said. Detective Chen realized she was standing next to someone whose experience in coordinating complex urban rescue operations was probably unmatched in the southeastern United States. "Would you be willing to work directly with our SWAT commander? Your expertise could be crucial here." David looked at Marcus, who nodded immediately. "Whatever you need," Marcus said. For the next 2 hours, David Rodriguez found himself back in the role he'd never expected to play again. Intelligence coordinator for a complex urban operation. The tools were different. Security cameras instead of drone feeds, radio communications instead of satellite links, but the principles were the same. "SWAT team, I have movement in the back stockroom," David reported. "Suspect 2 is alone, separated from the other 2. He's approximately 15 feet from the emergency exit." "Copy that. Can you maintain visual?" "Affirmative. Camera 14 has clear sightline. He's opening boxes. Looks like he's trying to access the safe." David's analysis proved critical when the SWAT team decided to move. His real-time intelligence allowed them to approach the emergency exit, while Suspect 2 was distracted, and his coordination ensured that all officers knew the exact positions of the remaining suspects and hostages. At 16:47 hours, exactly 2 hours and 32 minutes after the robbery began, the SWAT team successfully resolved the situation. All hostages were released unharmed. All 3 suspects were apprehended, and no shots were fired. Detective Chen returned to the security office as the operation was winding down. "David, what you did today, that was exceptional. Your intelligence coordination was textbook perfect." "Thank you, ma'am." "I have to ask, why are you working mall security? With your background, you could be working for any law enforcement agency in the country." David was quiet for a long moment, watching the monitors as normal mall operations slowly resumed. "Because after Somalia, I wanted to do something quiet, something where the stakes weren't life and death every day." "But today, they were life and death." David nodded. "Today was different. But most days, I just watch cameras And make sure teenagers don't shoplift. That's enough for me. Detective Chen studied his face. You know, what you did in Mogadishu, that's legendary in military and law enforcement circles. The intelligence coordination that kept those soldiers alive for 18 hours. A lot of people did their jobs that day, David said. I just happened to be the guy watching the screens. No, Detective Chen said firmly. According to every after-action report I've read, your coordination was the difference between rescue and disaster. 99 soldiers made it home because of your intelligence work. David was uncomfortable with the praise, but Detective Chen continued. And today, 40 people made it home to their families because of the same skills. You may have left the military, but you never stopped serving. Later that evening, as the mall returned to normal operations and the last of the police vehicles departed, Marcus approached David's workstation. David, I owe you an apology. For what? For 8 years, I thought you were just really good at your job. I had no idea you were what you are. David looked at him curiously. What am I? A hero, Marcus said simply. What you did in Somalia, what you did today, that's heroism. David shrugged. I just watch cameras and coordinate information. Same job, different circumstances. No, Marcus said. Same mission. You've been protecting people your whole career. The uniform changed, but the mission didn't. Over the following weeks, word of David's background spread quietly through the mall's security community. Not as gossip, but as the kind of professional recognition that law enforcement and security personnel give to someone who's proven themselves under the ultimate pressure. Detective Chen made a point of stopping by the security office regularly, not because of ongoing investigations, but because she'd realized that David Rodriguez represented something valuable, institutional knowledge and tactical expertise that couldn't be taught in any classroom. David, she said during one of these visits, I want to ask you something. Would you consider doing some consulting work for us? Training our intelligence analysts? Maybe helping with complex operations? David considered the offer carefully. I don't know if I'm ready for that. What I did today, it brought back a lot of memories I've spent 30 years trying to forget. What kind of memories? David was quiet for a long moment. The responsibility. When people's lives depend on your decisions. When you're the guy who has to be right every time. It takes a toll. But you were right every time today. Today, yes. But in Somalia, David's voice trailed off. What about Somalia? 18 soldiers didn't make it home from that operation. 18 families who lost someone. I coordinate the intelligence perfectly for 99 soldiers, but I can't stop thinking about the 18 who didn't make it. Detective Chen understood immediately. That wasn't your fault. You know that, right? Intellectually, yes. Emotionally, that's harder. David, what you did in Somalia saved 99 lives. What you did here today saved 40 more. That's 139 people who are alive because of your skills and your dedication. You can't carry the weight of the ones you couldn't save. David was quiet for several minutes, processing what she'd said. Finally, he spoke. If I did consulting work, it would have to be part-time. I'm not ready to leave this job. Why not? David gestured around the security office, with its monitors showing normal mall activity. Families shopping, teenagers socializing, elderly couples walking for exercise. Because this is real life. This is what we were fighting to protect in Somalia. Normal people living normal lives, safe enough to worry about everyday things instead of whether they'll survive the next hour. And you want to be part of protecting that? I want to make sure it continues to exist. The big operations, the military stuff, that's important. But so is making sure a grandmother can buy birthday presents for her granddaughter without worrying about her safety. Detective Chen smiled. You know what? You're right. Both missions matter. 6 months later, David Rodriguez was still working his regular shift at Lenox Square Mall, still watching the cameras, still filing his detailed reports. But now he also spent 2 evenings a week training intelligence analysts for the Atlanta Police Department, sharing lessons learned from urban operations that no academy could teach. The balance worked for him. Most days, he protected shoppers and prevented petty crimes. Occasionally, he helped law enforcement agencies solve complex problems that required his specialized expertise. Both types of service mattered to him. Detective Chen stopped by the security office on a Tuesday afternoon to find David monitoring the cameras with his usual methodical attention. "Any regrets about staying here instead of taking a full-time law enforcement position?" she asked. David looked around the security office, then at the monitors showing normal mall activity. "No regrets. This is where I belong. Even after what happened. Even knowing what you're capable of." David's answer came without hesitation. "Especially because of what I'm capable of. Someone needs to watch over this place, make sure normal life can continue. Might as well be someone who knows how to do it right. And if another crisis comes up," David smiled slightly, "then I'll do what I've always done. Watch the screens, coordinate information, and make sure everyone gets home safe." Detective Chen nodded with satisfaction. "That's what I thought you'd say." As she left the security office, David returned his attention to the monitors, watching over another normal day in the life of an American shopping mall. Families browsed stores, teenagers gathered around the arcade, elderly couples shared coffee in the food court. It was exactly the kind of normal, peaceful scene that soldiers had died protecting in Somalia 30 years earlier, and David Rodriguez, former staff sergeant and intelligence coordinator, was exactly where he needed to be, making sure it stayed that way. Some heroes seek recognition and advancement. Others choose to serve quietly, protecting everyday life from behind the scenes. David had made his choice, and he was at peace with it.